Hi Shepherd's Pie, greetings from the Philippines. I'm back for a coffee and a chat. Now, this is going to be a noisy one, I'm certain of that, but I have had a number of comments the last couple of weeks saying, why are you making your videos in a box room? You know, people want to see outside, they want to experience the Philippines. Well, the reason I don't do it is because it's bloody noisy. Now, it's not as noisy as you might think, because this microphone picks up the noise. It is noisier, but the microphone on the phone does make it sound a little bit louder. But regardless, I am a people pleaser. So if people want a bit of noise, a bit of authenticity, who am I to deny them? So anyway, that's my intro out of the way. I'm going to talk today about the terrible experience we've had with our landlord here and why we haven't moved. It's been a nightmare, to be honest with you. Now, this is a very personal experience to us, but if you're thinking about moving over here, you will hopefully learn a few lessons from the mistakes I've made, because renting this place was my biggest mistake, I think, so far in the Philippines. And by Christ, I've made a few mistakes. But yeah, I think this house is the biggest one. Just because of the situation we've got into with the landlord. If I got on alright with the landlord, I'd be quite happy staying here. And Ellen would be quite happy staying here. Well, we are staying here. And it's really Ellen's decision that we're staying here more than mine, but I'll explain why. But yeah, I have lived in, since I moved to the Philippines, I've lived in Sibilan, I've lived in Sikihor, and I've lived in Valencia, and I've lived in Bacol. And it's not worked out. I've moved from all of them, for different reasons, but the trouble is, as I've said in previous videos, so easy to find a place you think you're going to be happy in, but after you've been there a week or so, the problems invariably come. The burnouts, the internet, the karaoke, the noises, you know, you always seem to have crap here. It's just the way it is. But I was quite lucky, because when I was in Sibilan, it was okay there, but it just got noisier and noisier and noisier. They've got these bumps and that outside. But I was on a month-to-month contract, so I was able to leave. In Sibilan, over in Sikihor, sorry, again, month-to-month contract, so when I broke the contract, well, I didn't break the contract, you know, I gave them a month's notice, and we left. When we were up in Valencia, that was only going to be a short stay. We were never going to stay there long, because it was just like a studio apartment. My old mate Marco, his place up in Latinos. Good guy Marco, fantastic guy, looked after us with the rent and things. But the trouble is the place wasn't big enough, so it was never going to be a long-term solution. But living there put us off living in Valencia, because they kept having problems. You have big problems with water in Valencia for some reason, keeps getting cut off in certain parts of the mountain. So we ended up here. And when we came here, we thought we had found the best place. You know, we looked around at some other houses, and this was by far the best. It was a good price, and the landlord seemed like a decent chap. Ooh. Tell you one thing about him. I'm not going to name him, not going to get any legal problems like that, but when I first met him, the first time, I did not like him. There were a couple of things he said that got the old spider senses going. I thought, this guy is full of it. But met him 2 more times, and he grew on me. He seemed nice. He seemed a nice fella. He was helpful, said all the right things. And I said to Wella, I have made a mistake with this. I misjudged him. See that bang there? These are these improvised fireworks they make. I don't know what they are. They're cans that explode to kids or something. Apparently it's a Christmas thing. All they do is go bang. Can't see where the pleasure in that is, but there you go. I'm a crusty old man. Maybe if I was younger, I'd think it was hot shit. But it's not a shotgun. No one's trying to shoot us. I hope. But yeah, so lesson number one, go with your gut feeling. Usually, if your senses tell you someone's an AL, they are. You won't always be right, but I should have gone with my gut feeling. But as I say, 'cause I didn't trust him. First time I didn't trust him. But he won me over. And we signed a 1-year contract. Now, there were warning signs from the start, in the sense that to get to where we are, it's a nice little area, it's noisy, it's in the middle of a barangay, but you got a couple of hundred, well, about 300, 400 metres where you got to go on a dirt track to get down there. And I thought straight away, I wish I didn't have a dirt track. Maybe it would be better to get somewhere closer to the road. But the thing is, we had looked at some other houses. There was one up the top in Valencia. We did a video on it, and that had a dirt track 3 or 4 times as long. You know, most of the places we looked at you had to come off the road, and you had to go a little bit of a way. This was one of the shortest trips. You know, as I say, it's only about 500 metres off the dirt track. Little did I know that within a month of us living here, the bloody road would collapse and it would turn into, it's not undrivable, just not a pleasant drive. And that should have been the first warning, because the landlord said to me when we first moved in here, he had just dropped the rent from 17,000 to 15,000. And I said, why? Have you done that? It's a nice house. I think it's a bargain. You know, would it be a bargain at 17,000? He said, well, you know, I like to be fair by pricing. Absolute bullshit. He knew as soon as the rain came, that road was going to collapse and that no one would want to come in. Because he owns a lot of property in this area, all empty except for us. Everyone else has gone because of the roads and things. Whether they broke their contracts or whether they had been in or out of contract, I do not know. But there you go. So, since we moved here, we have had nothing but problems. It's not the house's fault. It's well, not all the house's fault. The road, you can't really, but you can blame him for that in the fact he didn't warn us about it, and he knew. He's had his house a few years, and it gets like this all year round. The neighbours have told us the road's like that. We got here at a good time when the road had been flattened. They flattened it again about 2 months in. We were happy again, but they haven't flattened it again now. It's falling apart. It's a difficult drive. The only other option is to go the back routes. Again, it's a difficult drive at night, but I've got used to it. Whether I've got better on the bike or whether it's not as bad as it was, I don't know, but I touch wood, I can handle the road okay. The biggest problem with this place was the cyclones. Every time we have a cyclone here, it hits this area, and it hits it terribly. We've been here just over 6 months now. We've had 3 periods when there's been no water in the area for like 5 days was the longest. I think the last time was 4 days. So you got no water. The electricity goes off more here than it does in other areas. It's this barangay Cambardo. It's just a nightmare. Whenever we have brownouts, you'll get on the bike, you'll go out, just get to the main road. The lights on in the other areas. It's just this area, Cambardo. Again, he never warned us about any of this, but I don't hold him responsible for that. You know, I'm a landlord. I don't like breaking contracts. Never broke the contract, to be honest with you. You know, but I am honest with my tenants. Well, I try and sort things. You know, I can't see the point of lying to people, because the last thing you want is unhappy tenants. Now I've got 2 tenants in my properties in Leicester. They've both been there like 8, 9, 7, 8 years plus. Never had any problems with them, because I look after them, keep them happy. Don't put the rent up very often. In fact, I've only put it up once in 8 years. So, you know, there is a real reason why you should try and keep your tenants happy. But this guy, I tell you, as I say, I wasn't blaming him for the problems. I blame him for the fact that he hasn't warned us that there will be constant brownouts, constant water problems in this area. I do blame him for not telling us about the road. But the last cyclones, and you know, enough was enough. See, Ellen's just got a new scooter. She is terrified about going down that road. You know, she's not going to be able to drive that for several months. She's going to have to, because I'm going to have to teach her how to drive a scooter. It's going to take her a long time to be proficient enough to go over those rocky roads. So she didn't like that. She wanted to move because of that. And I was like, look, you know, I want to see the contract out. Not bothered about the noise, as I say. We knew what we were getting ourselves into when we came here. But the brownouts and the internet going down and the water, enough was enough. So about a month ago we decided, look, because she wasn't happy, I wasn't happy with the brownouts, that's not enough's enough. We got to move, can't be doing this. Because at some stage it was going to fall off on this road or something like that. And I don't want her having an accident on the bike. So we started looking for other places. A mate of mine was kind enough to put us on to a really nice apartment just down the road next to where he lives. It was a lot more expensive, but it was worth it. It was quiet, it was a nice 2-bedroom house. It was in, you know, you could tell all the landladies and that were going to be hands-on. And he'd been there for a year, never had a problem. And that, you know, when someone recommends a place like that you trust, it's great. But for whatever reason, we went round, saw them. So we wanted a day or two to think about it, because we were looking at some other places. And we contacted them with a couple of questions. They never got back to us. Now, I don't know to this day whether it was the wrong number or something had happened, but they never got back to us. I wanted to ask something about electricity, I wanted to ask something about generators, and they never replied. So in that time, we found another apartment in Dimageti itself. It was just off the boulevard. Nice little place, not as nice as the one we just looked at. It was smaller, it only had 1 bedroom. But one of the troubles with the place that we just looked at before, the one with my friend stays at, was still a 4-kilometre drive into Dimageti. And the trouble is, I like to have a drink. One of the worst things about living here is I've not been able to have a drink really. You know, and I don't drink, I'm not an alcoholic like that. It's just that whenever I'm out, I have to worry about drinking. You know, you're always thinking, right, I've had 2 beers, you know, should I have another one if I'm going to ride the bike back? Because you're worried about the road and things. And it gets you down after a while, you know, and moving there, I thought, you know, it would be alright, because, you know, it's a hell of a long way. We're 15 kilometres from Dimageti City. So if I leave the bike in town and get a trike back, it's a real ball ache to get a trike back there. You've got to walk down to the road, find one, you know. So although this other place was better, I thought, you know, it's still 4 kilometres out. So when we found this other place, which was cheaper, but it wasn't really a price thing on this one, it was 18,000. So it was only 3,000 more than this, but the internet was on top, etc. But it was bang smack in the middle of Dimageti, and it was in a little complex where they had rules about no music after 10 o'clock, and that was music to my ears. It was kind of like a professional place for, you know, Filipino professionals. And I say it was a 3-minute walk from the boulevard, it was a couple of minutes walk from Cafe Racer, one of our favourite restaurants, and I just thought, yeah, this will do us. Because I say it was smaller, but it was very nicely decorated, very nicely furnished for the Philippines. It was Western style, but it was the location. You know, it's very hard to get a quiet place in Dimageti, and the appeal was that I could just walk down into town to a restaurant or a bar or whatever, and I didn't have to worry about whether I'd how many beers I'd had or whatever. I could just get a trike back or walk. You know what I mean? Ellen was really excited about the fact that she could just, you know, go shopping, get out in the morning, walk, didn't have to bug me for a lift, etc. So we decided to take it. And the other selling point was I only wanted a 6-month contract. Could have a year, but 6 months. There was no reduction for the year, so what's the point of having a 1-year contract? It was a couple of months deposit up front, but which I don't like paying, but there you go. So we decided to take it. And I felt bad about letting the landlord down. So we said we'd take it. I messaged the landlord, said, look, you know, I'm sorry about this, but living here has become a living. And we had a problem with the water tank. The water tank wasn't working, hadn't worked for a month. See, one of the problems we got living here is there is a guy, who's a Filipino guy, or there's a couple of them, who are supposed to manage things for the guy who owns his property, because he's in a Western country. He doesn't live in here anymore. Comes here for a few months here, then he goes back to run his business in the West. Now, I do not know what these Filipino guys tell him, because they tell us one thing, and either he's a liar, the landlord, or they're lying to him. But the point is, I've been waiting over a month, or had been waiting over a month for them to fix the water tank. Tank blew when we had one of the water outages. The water had got off in the area, no one had told us. The landlord had said if ever it starts making a noise, the tank, you've got to switch it off straight away, isolate it, because the pump will burn out. So they hadn't told us the water had gone in this area. So we had like a day or so's grace when we were using the water from the tank, didn't realise, because people don't communicate with it. I went into Dumagetti, came back one day, tank was making a sound, so I ran inside, isolated it, told the landlord, said, look, you know, the tank's gone off. I've isolated it because of the noise it was making. Don't know if it's done any damage, but I think it's because there was no water. Switched it off as soon as I knew, but I didn't know we'd run out of water. He comes back, yeah, the tank's fine, blah, blah, blah. It's because you've got no water in the area. When the water comes back on, tank will be fine. Water came back on a couple of days later. Tank didn't work. Guy come out, looked at it, said, we'll have to come back and fix it because we need to take the pump apart and do this, etc., etc. They never came back. You know, and I'm not the kind of guy, I don't hassle people and stuff like that. You know, I know he's busy. He says he doesn't get paid by the landlord. Not my business, but I was waiting for him to come back. A month passed, nothing happened. So you've got the fact they haven't fixed the water. There's a couple of other problems with cupboards. When I first moved in here, I said to the guy, look, there's a problem with this, there's a problem with that. This is the owner. And I said, I'm just telling you in advance, because I don't want to get blamed for this at deposit time, but this cupboard says, oh no, we'll get that sorted out in 1 week, we'll come out and do that. You know, I said, well, there's no rush, I'm just telling you, but it'd be nice if you could fix it. 6 months on, done nothing. I mean, the guy just says, you know, he doesn't do anything. So anyway, I messaged him and said, look, you know, I'm sorry about this, but we're going to have to leave. It's become unlivable here. You know, the road is a disaster. I'm sure you knew about the roads. You should have told us it got like this. Haven't had electricity for a few days now. The internet's gone off, hadn't had water. This keeps happening. We can't live here. Ellen's losing work, you know, on her online thing. You know, I'm sorry. You know, I know it's not all your fault, but I think you should have warned us. But the water tank it's been over a month now. You haven't come out. You know it's a problem. I'm starting to think with these cyclones, if the roof blew off, would you come out? Would you do anything? I said, so look, we're going. Obviously, I accept I'll lose the deposit. We're planning to move in a couple of days. I will pay you a month up front as well. So you've got the month's deposit. You've got a month's rent when we're not here. Hopefully you'll get someone else in that month. You know, so I don't like doing this, but I think that's reasonable under the circumstances, because it's just impossible to live. It's the worst place I've lived in terms of the water and the electric and the road, etc. He comes back straight away. If you want to leave, you've got to pay the full contract. You know, otherwise I'm going to take you to court because you've broken the contract, so you've got to pay, you lose your deposit, and you've got to pay, it was either 6 or 7 months up front, and just pay it. Now, I looked at that and thought, I know where he's coming from, but I don't think that's reasonable. But the thing that really got my goat, he said, you're lying about the pump. The pump has been fixed. I don't know why you're lying about this. I don't know what your game is, etc. But it is fixed. You're making it up. And that really pissed me off. So I messaged him back. I said, what are you talking about? The pump's not working. I said, we have a contract. I get that. But you've broken the contract by not, you know, doing the pump, by not fixing it, doing any of the repairs we've asked for. We might be able to negotiate, you know, a better termination for you in terms of the contract. Not paying the full contract, that's unreasonable. You know, I will get legal advice, because he said, that, like in his email, that he's going to get his solicitors onto this and I'll sue him in court. I said, alright, fine. I said, but I don't understand why you're accusing me of lying about the water pump. The pump hasn't been fixed, and I gave him a little catalogue of the dates of people that come out. He comes back again, you're lying. You know, I'm going to take you to court. I've already advised my solicitors. You're late with the rent. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're not late with the rent. Never been late with a vent. So I sent him the receipts. I said, why? And he accused me again of lying about the water. Anyway, the guy comes round, one of the Filipino guys supposed to look after the place. And I said to him, look, what the hell's going on? Why is he accusing me of lying about the pump? And he's like, oh, he's a crazy guy. He doesn't believe the things I've told him. I said, have you told him that the pump's not working? I said, because I do not understand this. I'm being accused of being a liar. You know the pump's not working. You accept that. He said, yeah, we have to get someone else to fix it. I said, so why is this guy saying I'm lying about it? And why have none of the other repairs been done? You know, the cupboards and things. And he's like, oh yeah, but the gentleman doesn't believe there's a problem with it. I said, he saw them. So anyway, I said, look, he said, don't say anything, let me talk to him, I'll explain the problems and we'll see if we can sort something out. So I said, fair enough. I left it a couple of days. I had a look at the contract wording inside, and that's one mistake I made. I should never have moved here because of the road. Going forward, don't move where there's dirt tracks. I really advise, unless you've got like, you know, an off-road bike or whatever, could be a huge problem for you. I looked at the contract, and the contract, there is nothing in there saying he has any responsibility for doing anything. Everything falls on us. You know, there's nothing saying he has to repair this or that or whatever, which was entirely my fault. You know, I took the view at the end of the day when I signed the contract, it wasn't big money, you know. And what amazed me about him was he said to me, he was a wealthy guy, the money didn't really mean anything to him, you know, because he wanted to sign the contract initially without a date on it, because we didn't have a date to move in until we had got the internet fitted, because that was the agreement, we wouldn't move in until we'd fitted the internet. And he's like, yeah, well, you don't have to worry about it, we'll add the date afterwards, you know, it's little money for me, it doesn't really mean anything to me, you know. So I should have said to him, well, if it doesn't mean anything to you, then let's not sign a deposit now, but I didn't. I was surprised how he was reacting about the money, because he wanted every penny plus. He said the deposit was gone as well because I'd broken the contract. So I looked at the contract, so there's nothing in here about the deposit, you know, being part of the termination, etc., and losing that. But the trouble was, I was sick. That's when I got the illness, and then that's when the power went off. So it was really difficult to communicate with him, and I was just in such a bad way health-wise. So I'm sitting there, lying in the room, feverish, thinking, I'll just pay him the money and we'll get out of it. But Ellen didn't want to do that. She was like, no, don't do that, it's too much money to pay. She was, yeah, what, you know, we'll just pay it. I just want to get out of it. But then he messaged me again and said that he was going to hand over my details to the court because I was late with a vent, which I wasn't late with a vent. You know, I don't know what, the guy's a nutcase. I've got the receipts. I hadn't been there. Every time they come in, we pay. Sometimes they come a couple of days late. Not my fault, you know. I pay them whenever they come in. I've messaged them several times and said, you haven't come round the rent student. Oh, don't worry, sir, we'll be round in a couple of days. But he sends me his message. And he said, just at the point I'm thinking, I might have to go back to the UK to see a UK doctor. And basically he said that we were going to go to court, and he had told his solicitors to notify the Dumagetti courts that I had debts and that he had my identification and that. And while this was going on, because I'd said to him, I think, either in that email or previous one, I've looked at this contract, I can't believe it's legal, I'm going to go and see a solicitor in town. To which he was straight away with a threat, you know, you'll have a debt against you, you won't be able to leave the country because you've got this debt. Be advised that this will take a long time, these cases can take months. And while you're fighting it, you know, you will be unable to leave the country. And that was it for me. I felt so lousy. I'm thinking, I'm damned if I'm going to be stuck here in, you know, unable to leave if this turns out to be something ill, you know, really serious in terms of the illness because of him. And I'm embarrassed about it now. I capitulated. I said to him, look, you know, I'm not going to break the contract. Because there were a couple of days that I just wanted to pay the money. Ellen talked me out of that. Did I make the right decision? Did we make the wrong decision? I don't know. But it was obvious. And I knew this, to be honest with you, because I said to a friend the other day, before I'd even sent the letter, I said, when I tell him we want to leave, he's going to he's going to cause problems, he's going to make threats, and I believe he'll do it, or try and make it, take it, of course, oh, you're worrying too much, he won't do that, no one can do that, what are you doing? As long as he's got his deposit back and that, you haven't. Absolute nightmare. So that was that. We lost the other place, we had to let them down, the one in town. It's, so this is why I'm making this video, really. One of the things I really strongly dislike about the Philippines is this having to get clearance to leave. The fact that if you get involved in some dispute here, you are stuck here. I don't know another country where that applies. Obviously, if you want it for a criminal offence or whatever, but the fact that they can basically file a case against you, you get put on record. This could take a long time to go through, and you're stuck here until it's resolved. And the way he worded it, was bullying. He was bullying us. He was bullying me. There's no getting away from that. And I'm not the kind of guy who likes to be bullied. So, under normal circumstances, if I hadn't been so sick, I would have said, right, fuck it, I'll see you in court. I'm not going to be held to ransom by you, and I'm not going to give you the money. We'll have a little argument about this. We'll see what the court says about it. Whether I'd have won or not, I do not know. But I can't believe that contract was, when he had no obligations in it at all, whether that would stand up to scrutiny. It wouldn't stand up in a Western court. There are laws on what you have to do as a landlord. You can't just put everything over to them. But my fault for not reading it. But I would probably sign it anyway then, because I think it's little money, I don't know. But anyway, it's, what have we learned from this? You've got to be careful when you sign contracts and stuff over it. Because there are some people, not all of them, there are some people who will potentially make your life incredibly difficult. And he was one of those people. I can tell from day one. We will see this contract out, but the second it's up, we're gone. And I'm not going to make it, but I'm bearing a grudge against this chap. If we have more problems, I might go and see. I don't know how this is going to resolve itself, but at the moment we have decided that we will see the contract out. And to be fair, since I've got better, it has a different perspective on things. Ellen was the main driving force for us to move. She was moaning a lot about the road and that, which was understandable. The cyclones and things, touch wood, they're gone, hopefully, for the next 6 months. And hopefully we won't have too many problems with the electric and the thing, but a lot of people say it's my fault. Some people probably say in the comments you shouldn't break the contract. Well, I agree with that. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's not my style to do that. But I felt we were in the right, because he did mislead us about the road. He hadn't done anything about that water tank. And the amazing thing is, that's why I can't work out how the guy's mind works. Because when I told him we were staying, I said, we're staying. Because he sent me a message back, said, I'm going to take you to court, you're late for the rent, you're lying about the water tank. And I said, listen, you stop this bullshit now and stop threatening me. I'm not late with the rent. Sent you the receipt again. I've paid the rent. I am not lying about the tank. I have no idea why you say I'm lying about the tank. But if you don't fix this, I am going to take steps with regard to the tank, and I will get someone round here to fix it myself, and I'm knocking it out. I'm not paying the rent. Because that's what you can do in the Philippines. I mean, there's ways. People kept saying to me, oh, don't pay the rent until just get someone to fix it. I say, yeah, okay, I can do all that. But that's not really the main problem. The problem is the road and electricity and that. The water tank is small beans, really. But it became big beans because he was accusing me of lying, and it's something that he should fix. But, and I said, I'm going to honour the contract. I'm staying here. We're staying here. Because I'd already decided, I said to Ellen, one or two things was going to happen before we begin the flat. I was not going to pay him the money for the end of the contract, and what I was going to do was just keep this place, and because I was damned if I was going to give you the money so we could rent it out again. Because I was going to suggest to him, look, I'll meet you halfway, I'll pay half the contract. But anyway, that doesn't matter now. So I thought, no, we'll take the other place and we'll just keep this and we'll keep it empty. If I have friends over, they could stay here or whatever. But I'm not giving him money for the rest of the contract so he can rent it out to someone else and get, double bubble on it. But he didn't come to that. So I said, we're staying, paying the contract, I mean, that might still happen. If we have more nightmares here, I might just bite the bullet, but I'm not paying him the money up front. I'll just keep this place empty, you know, and make use of it. I'm not paying him so he can get double rent. But he then messaged me back as soon as I said we were staying, and says, okay, fine, okay, you're staying. About the water pump, I'll get someone else to look at it. The trouble is, I'm in a difficult situation here because you're telling me one thing, but the Filipino people are telling me it's fixed. You're telling me it's not. I don't know who to believe. Okay, I can see you paid the rent. You know, we'll move forward, etc. Someone is going to come and look at the water pump tomorrow. Now, someone did come and look at the water pump. They fixed it. It was I paid for it just to get it done. It was the a little starter motor or something that was wrong. Not the whole pump didn't need to be replaced, and it works fine now. But the guy, the Filipino guy as a contact, he was really cagey. He did not want to look me in the eye when he came round. I think personally, don't know. I think he lies to the guy that owns and says things have been done. But you'll never know. All he said to me was he doesn't, you know, this guy's crazy. He doesn't believe I tell him all the problems, but he won't accept them. I've got no idea, but the second we said we were staying, he was hands-on with the pump. So going forward, I'm going to have very little doing. If I've got problems, I'm getting straight onto him, and I will catalogue and I'll say, right, here's the date I expect something by this stage. I'm not going to have anything to do with this Filipino intermediary caretaker, you want to call him, because I don't trust the guy. To be honest with both Ellen and I think he was probably lying to the owner and saying things were done. Even out, the owner's nuts. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he does tell him things aren't working and the owner refuses to accept it. But yeah, this is the story why we're not moving. We're staying here. And to be honest with you, I'm not that sad about it now. You know, since the weather's improved and things, it's not been too bad. If they fix the road, it'll be okay. You know, we were quite happy. I did say to Ellen several times, I don't really want to move. It was just a bad week with the illness and the electricity and all the rest of it, and the road. So I'm worried about Ellen having an accident on the road, particularly now she starts driving. But I've kind of got used to it. I don't know if my driving's improved or what, but I don't have the same problems on that road as I did before, even driving the Fazia. So whether that's because I've got better or the road's not as bad, who knows, but I don't, so, you know, it is what it is. But we're staying in now. And we don't feel like prisoners. It's very annoying to be called a liar like that, very annoying. You know, because for a few of the correspondents, I think I'm thinking of a nutcase here. You know, what would I possibly gain about lying? But I want nothing to do with the fella going forward. Put it down to an experience, bad experience. But yeah, be very careful. If you're going to rent a place over here, now I'm no expert, I've only been here just over a year, but a few things I've learned is yeah, a lot of people have problems with flooding. Make damn sure that the building is raised. Don't risk that. Think very carefully about buying places which are off the beaten track. And do your research on the area. A few people wisely said, you know, if you're going to move somewhere, when we were first looking for properties, come down at night, see what it's like at night. Yeah, we don't really have problems like that here, to be honest. As I say, you know, you hear the cockles now, or the roosters, whatever you want to call them. The microphone picks them up loud and they are. It does. But when you're in the house, they really are small beans. They seem to bother Ellen more than me. But the reality is, when you're in the Philippines, if you're in the house, you've either got the aircon on or you've got the fan on. Most of the time, we have the fan on. Ellen's delivery's just arrived in the Zara there, so she's gonna, or shopping, so that's doing her transaction, doing her dodgy deals. But yeah, when I'm inside most of the time. I'm in the bedroom most of the time because the aircon and that. That's why I'm so damn pale. But don't hear it. Can't hear the cockles when you've got the fans on. You know, you can't with a double glade. You just don't hear them. It's only when you come and sit out in the garden that you hear them. Same with the music. There is occasionally karaoke here. But if you've got TV, laptop on or aircon on, you don't hear it. So none of that's been a problem for me. But if it is a problem to you, think about a gated community. Be aware with the contracts. Was this guy threatening me unnecessarily? Would we have won in court with it? I don't know, but they can have you. They can get you in this place. You know, people make complaints against you. People say you've got debts and things. They can trap you in, and it's not a nice feeling to be in that situation. That was it for me. That was where I backed down, and I did bottle it. I admit it now. Wasn't paying the money. It was small money. It was about 1,500 quid. I'd have had to pay. Maybe I was tight for not wanting to. It wasn't a going to court. If you go to court, what, you're going to get a few expenses, maybe you win, maybe you don't. It was the being stuck here, and I know it's a thing, because when I had that trouble with that nutcase in Signal, when the prosecutor spoke to me then, he was saying this may drag on for a while, but be aware you will not be able to leave the country while it's going on because you're a witness, or you know, and I think, oh God, that's why I dropped out. I do not want to be stuck in this place. I do not want something to go disastrously wrong at home in terms of my properties, or God forbid a family member gets sick and I can't leave the country. And they seem to be able to hold that over you. They seem to be able, people will say I'm talking nonsense and the thing, but I know people who've been stuck here. I know a couple over there in City, before anyone says this is nonsense. I have a very good Filipino friend over there. She's got a restaurant bar resort. She used to own it with her Western husband. I'm not going to go into names or details, but they're separated now, going through a divorce. He wants to sell the place and he wants a certain percentage of money out of it. She will not give him the divorce, and she will not let him have that until he comes down, and because of that she's made it impossible for him to leave. He's been stuck there for 18 months. He cannot leave the Philippines because she won't let him, because she's taken the view she doesn't want to give him that, and it's only when he signs the place over will she give the all clear for him to leave, and that's that. Now, when I'm talking shit, that's the thing. I'm very good friends with her, still am very good friends with her. You know, I'm not taking a moral judgment on whether she's right. I don't know whether we should have an entitlement or not. But it was a real thing, because this guy was friendly with a lot of people in City Hall, and her friends, his friends would come up to her at times. I had to intercede a couple of times, tell them to go away, because they're saying, why are you doing this to him? Why not let him go home, let him see his kids and things? So, you know, I'm not going to get in the right and wrongs of that dispute, but it is, they can keep you in. They can cause you bloody problems here. They can make accusations of things, and until it's resolved, you are screwed, you are stuck in. I know several people that that's happened to. When I mentioned this in a previous video, people say, no, they can't. They can. I don't know why you're saying they can't. As I say, I know people that it has happened to. And it's still happening to. That stuff in Signal is ongoing. And I'm terrified of getting stuck in a situation like that. So anyway, that's why we didn't move. Be careful what you're signing. Know the ramifications. Whether you're right or wrong, you're still going to be stuck here while you fight it out. Go with your gut feeling. I'm 52 years old. I don't know why I don't. You know, it's like one of the biggest mistakes I make is the number of times I let this thing, the old drill starting up. Your gut feeling's 98% of the time it's right. Should have gone with it. But we didn't. Fingers crossed it will all be a happy ending going forward. If it is, you'll know about it, because hopefully you'll watch the channel. If it's not, you'll know about it, because hopefully you're watching the channel. Anyway, that's why we're staying here. I've gone on a long time. Hopefully you liked the video. If you did, smash the like button. Hopefully you liked the fact that I came outside to make the video. If you did, let me know in the comments. I'll do more videos outside. If you didn't like the noise, I'll explain why I did it. Whatever you're doing, wherever you are, stay safe, be lucky.